coming from today or where you're sitting today. That's always a wonderful thing. I'm Antoinette, and if we haven't met yet, now we have. And I'm standing on Lenape land known as Cortland Manor, New York, near the Hudson River. And really glad to see everyone, have an excuse to get together and to meet new friends. So if you're just joining in Zoom, you can type into the chat and say hello, maybe where you're coming from. And if you're here on the broadcast, start to think about your questions because this is an Ask Us Anything. And you can start to just think about what you want to know. Oh, we've got Tokyo, Japan. It must be late or early, very early for you. So welcome to all. Just to get an idea of where people are coming from, we're in El Dorado Springs, Colorado, in the United States, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Switzerland, Silicon Valley, California, Moscow, Russia, Ontario, Canada. So even there's only what close to 50 people in the Zoom room right now, and of course, wherever you are watching this from on broadcast. Um, and yet we're really spanning the world in this little Zoom chat right here. So London, DC, Paris, France, Barcelona, Spain, Connecticut. We're neighbors in this Zoom chat. Jerusalem, beautiful. Um, Germany, Shanghai, China, but now in Boston. Wonderful. Good to see everybody coming on in. So we'll give everyone just another moment or two to show up. Um, and I'll start by just bringing us into a reminder. If you haven't been with us before, but just saw this on Twitter or something and got excited and wanted to see what this is all about, my name is Antoinette, and I've been working with Eileen Fisher, who's a partner of the Presencing Institute. Presencing Institute has been working to really transform systems through looking at this kind of inner lens and exploring tools and methodology over the last 15 years of how leaders really spark this kind of systems change that we're looking for. And I'll say that now it feels like that kind of systems change is needed more than ever. So we are, the Presencing Institute is founded by Otto Scharmer, who's a senior lecturer at MIT as well, and brings that lens in. And we have gotten to learn from him and the team and together as a global community over the last number of years through u.lab, which has been, it started as a massive open online course. So u.lab 1x, it became known as, because now we have 2x, which I'll explain a little bit more about. But the idea for u.lab 1x is really about transforming system, society, and self, and really exploring how we lead from the emerging future rather than operating on these kind of old systems from the past. So we've done a lot of work and just closed u.lab 1x yesterday. So many of you may have been with us for that session, and we had a lot of fun. And this moment in time is really an experience where we see climate change, the racial divide, our economic systems. Much of it is collapsing, much of it may need to. And yet there is something that's already there that's wanting to be born. And that's where each of you, each of us come in to be able to bring our little seeds of aspirations to life. And so we've been doing that through u.lab maybe as individuals, and now with u.lab 2x, we start to expand that out into teams. So what we look for with u.lab 2x is being able to come together with around an idea. And in the past, it's been very clear that we want you to be in place together. This year, we know that that got pretty much upended in 2020, and now we are looking at really exploring that team perspective in a way that really allows for all of us to explore that topic or theme, explore that project together, and really just be focused on the process of how do we move from me to we. That was one of the questions that came up with the u.lab 1x closing session was, how do we move from me to we? How do I, and sometimes we refer to this as ego to eco. So really, how do I move from my own agenda to really sensing what's needed in the collective? And how do I, and sometimes that's, beautiful and aspirational in that way. And sometimes it's really particular, like, how do I actually move from being one person trying to make something happen to being a group of people trying to make something happen? Sometimes that's really easy and feels really good. And we heard a great team in Berlin who was doing that yesterday. And sometimes it's a little bit more tricky, and we need some processes to be able to move through that. So that said, there's a wonderful team who supports this endeavor. And we have Stefan here in the Zoom room with us. And I think I just saw Giro come in as well. So there's some wonderful team members who really support this work. Um, but perhaps we begin to open it to questions. And I know Otto is joining us. I'm not sure he's in just yet, but I know he will be. So in just a moment. But I think we have our first question coming in. Are we supposed to do video, or can we? Yeah. If you don't mind being streamed, yes.
Yeah, are you okay, Justin, going online?
All right.
Okay. I'm going to
Let's,
add the spotlight. Um,
and if you also have questions now, you can be typing them into the chat. But Justin, go for it.
Cool. Hi, Antoinette. Your energy feels really good on this call. It's like nice to be actually in the Zoom room with you. So I feel like I think my question maybe is like more of like a request or an ask. It's like I feel that the application is actually really simple that you guys have put out there. Like, it's really just a step forward, but I can feel the heart blockness, that the action confidence, that like just that little edginess that says that I need to step through in order to put it in. And it feels like quite the threshold. And I was just wondering if there was we have so many practices, we've learned so many different skill sets, but I wonder if here on this call there would be space or an availability to actually like take us through that, to help us kind of cross that chasm or relieve some of that tension or that fear or whatever this may be for different people, to be able to step into this next step in our life, our journey.
Oh, Justin, yes. I will do my best. And, also I think one of the big things is that knowing that it's not just it's not it's not just one person, it's not just me here trying to do this. And I think even just stepping up and saying I'm going to take myself off mute and be spotlighted in the community, that's already a step to be able to share. Can I ask you a little bit more about what your idea is, or what kind of project you're working towards?
Definitely. It's in the learning and education space, and we're calling it Sacred Rebel Studios. And so it's a laboratory that's really designed to kind of help people create a social field of learning that offers physical and digital, as well as spiritual resources for people who may be digital nomads, or those that we're kind of looking at as like regenerative refugees. So those that know a better world is coming, don't really fit into what is here now, but want to help to bridge that gap. And so this is, it starts with me. I've been feeling like housing insecure for a long time. I've been like a moving person and always on the run, and having someplace stable and steady that is safe and secure is really important right now in my life. And so, and not just my life, but everyone that I'm kind of holding or bringing in to this moment. And so that's where we're at. Yeah. Is that helpful?
Absolutely, and it sounds crucial. So I would say, as it pertains to the u.lab 2x application process, the biggest thing that I could say, which is the action confidence thing, but it's just do it. I mean, it's a quite simple application, and even just putting that snippet of what you just shared, I think I would say let's lower the idea of a barrier to entry, and recognize that part of this is just so that we have these clips of the people who are entering into the u.lab 2x journey together, and an invitation to really set an intention for what your project is and how you're going to try and make that happen. And that's kind of we use the phrase application, and we have that there. And at the same time, and yes, there is a small team that's looking at those applications as they come in. And at the same time, it's really about giving you the kind of on ramp to the process. So whatever I can do to take down that kind of fear or tension barrier about filling out an application, by all means, please feel that melting away already. And, just know that project that you're already, whenever we sense into that, what's wanting to emerge, that's where I think the community comes to step in and make things happen. And so the fact that you're ready to do that is already fantastic. And I see Maria just shared the hardest thing to do is to just start. So I think you've got a community that's already ready to support. And thank you so much for asking the question. Was there anything else before we move on to the next one?
The heart's in the gut now. So I feel like, yeah, just to take that next step is what's here. Thank you guys for that. And thank you everyone else. Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you, Justin. Cool. So I know we've got a number of different questions in the chat already. I just saw one come in, so I might just take that. I'm going to look for thumbs ups from Stefan, whatever. But okay, so one of them that just came up is what's the difference between a hub and a team? And I know that this has come up in a number of different places, especially because within PI, we even say, okay, hub, macro hub, there's a lot going on. So hubs have been in the u.lab system a way for people to come together, typically in person, and watch the live sessions together and go through the methods and tools of the u.lab together. And a team is typically, for u.lab 2x, is specifically a group of people that want to move a certain initiative forward together. So let's say it was Justin's initiative around education. It would be a particular team of, let's say, 2 to 4, maybe 5 people who are really ready to carry this initiative forward. And for example, in my work at Eileen Fisher, I might take the foundation team and say, let's, get a project together that we're working on. If we're going to run a summer leadership program for young women, let's come together and look at that program through the lens of u.lab 2x to get it off the ground. And I've gone through a lot of, u.lab and PI experiences, and in that kind of presencing moment, sometimes there's a kind of loneliness to this. And so when we can do that with a team, then we can move through a slightly different process of moving through the U together. And hello, Otto, welcome. Here we are together. It's good to see you. You want to say hello?
Hi, hello everyone. I have nothing to add. I think I've been here all the time, and I just enjoy the conversation. So keep going.
Oh, thanks. Whenever you want to jump in, feel free. So we have a few more questions, but I hope that one answers the hub and team question. And we have more in the chat, but Stefan, should we be taking video or chat? Video.
Let's prioritize video for a little while. Juliana's been waiting, so I'll add her to the spotlight.
Cool. Hi, Juliana. You can go.
Hi, Antoinette. Thank you. So my prototype is about bringing regenerative listening to companies. And I know it may seem naive because there are probably a lot of going on in that matter. But in Brazil, I can see that there's nothing major going on. So it's to avoid the burnout, it's to prevent the, most people just want to be acknowledged. They don't even want to have their ideas put forward. So I'm working with a company, BOMA, that is already a worldwide network. So we are building curriculum for corporate training. And we build it and train people. So not only the curriculum, but also how to sell, how to do all the things. So what I was wondering is if I want to apply to have something systematically to offer to companies that they would like it, because one thing is what we have to offer. The other thing is whether they want to take it. And companies would like to hold a space for listening. The main goal would be that. So people wouldn't feel that need to get out of here at any moment. And one kind of people, and actually I am one of those people. After 20 years in the corporate world, I was burned out and I left. And the other one is people afraid of their jobs, losing jobs for AI and all sort of trends that are expedited this year. So we have a small team. My partner didn't attend u.lab 1. I have other people from u.lab 1 that wanted to join, but I think I would like a way to put that on and gather more people from here, because what I wanted to do is somehow come out with a workshop that can be offered to companies, and then a lot of people could be trained for that and offer that in their locations. So, well, the question is how to do that, to get those people and put them together and to use whatever has been done in that specific area already. Thank you.
I have a few thoughts. Otto, do you want to start or do you want me to?
I can start with just one point, which also concerns some the earlier discussion. So, what the reason why we have an entry barrier to 2x is something very simple, because we want to create a community among doers, not among people who just have one idea but don't know how to implement that and don't have partners around that. So the two criteria is to have your idea clear, or like a first version of that, right? So which is, and then to have at least, so to have like at least part of your core team members aligned around that, so that you're not alone with that, but you have like 2 or 3 others. It may be more in some cases, but so that you have at least, let's say, kind of a couple or so other core team members involved in your idea. And so that do that together with you. And then the lab itself, the journey of the lab, the 2X, is really around methods and tools that help you to engage some of the other relevant stakeholders that you need to involve to bring your idea into reality, to involve them in creative and co-creative ways. So that's so now coming to your idea, Juliana. So what I hear is the essence of your idea is really places of listening, right? The obvious prototype to run is not creating a plan for listening, but doing the listening, right? So that would be the obvious thing to do. And so to be very crude about that, so just a plan how to roll out what you think companies need, that's not a prototype, right? That's just a plan. Right. A prototype is if you engage the relevant stakeholders of your idea already in the making of it. So that would be, so how can you frame your idea in a way that you actually embody the listening together with stakeholders relevant to the implementation of your idea? So that would be the question I would ask, and the invitation, how to frame your prototype in a way that really is benefiting most from the methods and tools in the community that the 2X can offer to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julia.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it. Thank you for your answer.
Wonderful. Maybe then we move to the next person. Should we take video, Stefan? There we go. Hello.
Oh, is it me?
Yep, it's you.
Oh,
Here you are.
good morning, everyone. Well, at least it's morning here. I'm Elizabeth Carney, and I'm a veteran and alumni in the u.lab 2 space, where we're working to prototype how to create a health system and community center using native plants and foods. And this year, what I really see, and thank you, Otto, for the distinction between, or the focus on doing, is that it could be stated around doing community building. Because that's really what we learned from the first time, is when we have strong communities, we can hold all the edges. So, but the question and the reason why I was just coming is because I wanted to elicit an invitation for resources that have to do with social presencing theater. Like one of the really great outcomes of using social presencing theater in our first team was this profound sharing of experience. And that was how we came to solutions rather than talking and being up in the head. And so it's been so challenging to be online and try to think about how to do that. So I'm in the process of asking everyone I can think of what are the best practices and how we can do that. So I know there have been some people during Gaia who have really been advancing in this area. And I just really want to also advance in this area and learn and bring my courage to using it in this platform as well. So open to all resources. Thank you.
Great, Elizabeth. Well, I would say in 2X, just to let you know that in 2X, we will move into further resources for social presencing theater as a team. And there have been really interesting uses. So as we kind of dove into the early stages of the pandemic in the spring, or well, in March, spring in Northern Hemisphere, we found that a lot of people shared their virtual ways of doing SPT or doing the mapping exercises so that they could be together online, but also be physically, distant, obviously. So, so there will be more of that, and coming from PI, but also really in the group, as Otto shared, this group of doers really has, kind of jumping in and trying methods and tools and letting us know what works as well. So just to say thank you for your comment, and for I hope that you find more resources and tools in 2X.
Yeah. Arjuana's helping me a little with that too.
Good. Wonderful.
I'm going to add in Javi here. He's got a question that I think a lot of people have. So.
Hi to everyone. Sorry, I'm in the street. I didn't have time to get home. So my question is that I'm doing the still u.lab 1. I'm halfway through it. And yeah, I would like to continue with u.lab 2, but as I read in the chat, some other people happened that I don't have a team nor an idea of what I want to do. So probably, or I don't know, maybe it's not my time yet, but maybe you have experience with people before in the situation. Maybe you can tell me something about if there are some choices to do, or what should I do? What should I do? Thank you very much.
I think it's a question that really goes to everyone here in the community. I think it's so maybe we can, but I want to make a beginning, and then others can join in. Antoinette, you in particular. I would say, so I want to demystify the prototype a little bit, right? So sometimes it sounds like a huge, elaborate thing, like it comes with all the bells and whistles and stuff, and you need a big plan for that. And I don't have a plan. I'm not exact. So this kind of, and none of that what I just said is even remotely correct, right? Because so they're dealing with. So where theory U tries to be relevant is when something is about to emerge. And by definition, you don't have a plan for that, right? Prototyping is not about planning. It's not about having a plan at all. In fact, it is about having two things. One is clarifying your intention. And half of what u.lab 1x does, and the main thing that u.lab 1x does, is helping you to clarify your own intention, what it is that you truly want to do. And maybe you have more clarity around that than you give credit yourself, than you give yourself credit for, right? So maybe when you really sit down and take a moment, there is something that already has been clarifying for you. Through u.lab related experiences and other experiences you have had in your life, particularly in this year. So something that clarifies for you. So that's the first thing you need. You need the clarity of intention. And then the next thing is, what's the next step for you to move into that direction? What could be a concrete next step, right? To make that real. So it's like when you ride a bicycle in the woods, right? You're not looking out what is 2 kilometers ahead of you. You're looking what is right in front of you, right? Because there's uneven territory. You need to pay attention there. That's the second thing. But it's not a plan. You just need a heightened awareness of, what's emerging there and where could you activate your own agency. And maybe the agency, and then the next question is, who do I need for that, right? Who else, right? Who are the 2-3 people that, if aligned with, could really help me to make this happen? That's your core team. So there you have your intention, you have your next step, what you want to make happen, and you have, maybe 3 people and 2 of which you're already aligned with to making this happen. That's all you need, because all the other things you will be able to put into place as part of the process. And so the whole 2x is really helping you, the 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the core, helping you to align amongst yourself more clearly, and then to bring other people in as needed. And what is a team? So what's the definition of a team? It's people who need each other in order to change the system or in order to make something happen, right? So that's really, so that's how I would break it down. So let's just demystify it. Your intention, chances are you already know that, right? What's the next thing you really, really want to make happen? Who do you need for that? That's all. And, putting that into a 1-minute video, not so complicated.
I think that covers it. Thanks, Otto. I see in the chat this question about also just a general announcement, maybe start there, just from Stefan. He shared, if you're looking for a team or teammates, you can note that in this chat, because there are a number of people who are feeling that they want a team. So you can note that in the chat here, mention the theme of your interest or the initiative that you're thinking about. And we'll be opening breakouts at 45 minutes on the hour for those of us in Zoom, so that you can start to connect with each other and see if you want to be on a team together. So that is available as an option. So you can put it right in the chat. And for now, maybe we take another question. Hello.
Bringing on Chaitanya if he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, I'm from London, UK, and my prototype is to really address, how do we bring about change, which is social, economical, and environmental. So the idea which came over for me was to create a fund and give access to startups to really solve big problems which really matter in the world. So today, if you look at the way VCs are functioning, it's all about profits. So we want to basically change the way VCs function in the world and focus on profit with a purpose. So my question is, I have an idea. We are in the process of setting up a fund now, but the other person who's on board, he has not done the u.lab. So the team members, do they all have to have done the u.lab program, or can they be people who are associating and interested in the vision, and then they're happy to continue in the u.lab journey in the coming months or coming year?
Yeah, that's totally fine. As long as one person at least, ideally that you've done the u.lab is a great place to start, and just know that you might be doing a little more hand holding to bring your team along to help them kind of get on board with that. But if they're already like-minded or have that kind of sense of what you're moving towards, I mean, it sounds like anyone that you would bring into that kind of project, purpose beyond profit, would have that kind of understanding. So, and then they'll move through the 2X process together. So, so that should be totally fine.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next question. Desmond, I believe. Desmond, we might need you to unmute. There we go.
All done. Baby steps. Kind of my invitation is to see if you have a message indeed for somebody who hasn't done u.lab who would be joining. So my colleague who hasn't done u.lab has joined the call tonight with very different backgrounds. That's Conan there. Conan is a tech expert, and he's dedicated the last 10 years of his life for simplifying the software administration for not atypical schools, Montessori, Steiner, and so on. And together we'd like to build like a holding space for the directors or leaders of non-traditional schools so that they can support each other and apply some of the u.lab materials. So I'm just kind of wondering, of course, if we're a little bit on track, if that's part of the process, and two, if you have kind of a message to reassure people who are kind of just on the edge of this space, but who've made it as far as coming into listening tonight, as to what they can hope to, how to experience alongside me, alongside you over between February and 4 months later.
Otto, did you want to? Yeah, do you want to go? Okay, so I mean, just one thought is to just add maybe that they don't have to, I said like-minded, but they don't have to be from the same industry or same field, or, even actually be like-minded, more open-minded is what I would say. And, as you bring them along, there are a few key concepts that you might bring them through. And I always highly recommend the Essentials of Theory U as a tool that if they're a reader, they can take a read through, because it does give a lot of the basics. And there are certain things like levels of listening, open mind, open heart, open will, kind of understanding the process of that. And I would say that you as a, what you're working with. So it's going to be how you connect, and if you feel comfortable and that person will be able to come along, then you should be able to make it work. But Otto, do you want to add anything specifically about the key pointer?
Yeah, well, maybe just adding to that two things. The Essentials book probably would not hurt. Maybe in some other cases, just point at 2-3 videos. For example, the intro videos, there's a good, that's shorter and gives also some impression. And what is that impression? So what is it, and what is really the key criteria? And I agree, Antoinette, so like-minded, maybe it could be misunderstood here. I think the main thing you want in that core team is people who bring two things. One is a commitment to your idea, kind of a commitment to wanting to make something happen together. That's the foundation, really, right? And then on the how, because the 2X is about the how to go about that. And openness, that's all you need. You need an openness to whole person, whole system learning. That's all. If you come from a pedagogical background that is grounded in whole person, whole systems learning, well, that should not be a big issue then, right? So that's the main thing. So being open to other ways of connecting with each other, to deeper ways of listening, to embodied forms of learning, because those are the methods we will be sharing with you. If there's no interest in exploring some of that, then it will be hard, right? So that would be hard. And so when you think about when is it that we lose people, usually that happens being uncomfortable when you connect with when you have to lean into the unknown, right? So, and all emerging processes, right? If you really lean into them, they confront you with something where you don't know, kind of and so kind of this comfort level to lean into these deeper process elements where something is happening or not, and we don't know for sure. Kind of that little openness to that, right? To a deeper social process that is not just on an intellectual, my idea, your idea kind of level. That's the second criteria. If people are open to that and committed to what you want to make happen, you will be good.
Yeah.
Just bringing in Olga here.
Hi, Olga.
Hi. Well, that's me talking to you. My question is about hub hosting. We were hosting a hub for, it was language-based, and it was like multiple people, and we highly encouraged people to apply for 2X program, which we participated last year. And we have at least like 5 or 6 projects who applied for this year. And my question is how, as a hub host, we can support them. How do you see this process? Thank you.
Thanks, Olga. And thank you also for your contribution to the video yesterday as well. So it's good to see you in our Zoom chat too. So, you know, I think the hub host plays a really wonderful role in just kind of supporting and motivating and also creating a holding space for those teams. So we like for the teams to be co-located, I mentioned earlier. So, you know, already you're kind of a step in the right direction because you know either the region or the social field that you're working with, and that makes a big difference. So, you know, I think just making yourself available to the extent that you can for them to go through that process. And, you know, we do encourage teams to meet in person if they can, so that they can do the process together. And so your hub might be a great way to hold that as well. Otto, do you want to add?
It also depends on the focus area of their hub initiatives, whether they may be separate from each other, right? So you have something, I have something else totally separate, but there may be some connectivity, interdependency among them, connectiveness. So depending on which one it is, they might even benefit from each other doing some of these activities, like the stakeholder activities and so on, together, or somehow related with each other, right? When they engage similar stakeholder in the same community, I don't know. So that's something you need to pay attention to. Usually, when you ask more from a personal level, our experience is that you can only participate in one team really fully as a core team member, but you can be a supporting member in several teams, right? So so there's really, as we in most teams, right? So we have like different layers, right? So there's the core team, then there's the extended team with supporting members, and then there's a larger ecosystem. So they are really 3 different layers of engagement and levels of engagement. And going through the prototyping cycle and 2X process is really engaging all 3 of them. And I would say kind of, so yes, if you're like a supporting member in these teams, you can be in multiple teams, and maybe some of these, maybe you will find they could help each other along the way or make themselves more independent. So you will figure that out on your own.
Thank you so much. It's very inspiring. And I have already some ideas how we can connect those like really diverse projects. Thank you.
I'm just going to add Susan Ross up for a quick question.
Hi, Susan. Good to see you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I have been doing u.lab for about 4 or 5 years now. And what my question is between now and when the next Gaia happens, I am starting a small business of coaching for people who are making big leaps in their life. It's going to be sort of a concierge service in some sense, because I'm going to be guiding people into programs like u.lab, which will be, if this works, will be one of my main places I place people in my one-on-one coaching with people over a period of time. And I thought, like, okay, I need to know the schedule. I don't think this is a 2 point, a project, because it's just me. But if that works, I feel like I have a lot of people who have never done u.lab, and it's such a basic skill that it's useful to almost every single person that I'll coach. Because, so I'm sort of hoping that there's some way for them to get in before next fall, put it that way. And I think Gaia would be one way of doing that, but I didn't know how it will fit in with the 2.0.
I would say this is a perfect fit for Gaia and for the u.lab 1x. The u.lab 1x is open permanently, but it's not a fit with the 2x, as we clarified before with the two criteria.
Right. So they could start 1x on their own then?
Anytime. It's permanently open until...
It's permanently open. Okay.
Yeah, I think until May or June, and then it will be shortly closed before we put up the next version. But it's until next summer, Northern Hemisphere, it will be open permanently.
Okay, great. And then I think Gaia would definitely be something that as soon as they did that, they would hopefully go right into Gaia. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. And just to say, Florentina, our incredible team member leader, is here, and she's in the chat, and just wrote that it's on until May 27th. So thanks for being here, Florentina, and sharing more information. Yeah, and thank you, Susan, for also mentioning Gaia. It will be picking up again on February 4th. So if you don't feel that you're gonna be able to do the 2 criteria for 2x, then please feel free to join us in Gaia. And even if you are in 2x, please feel free to join us for those sessions as well. Should we take one more question before going to the breakouts?
Yeah, and just to note that I'm going to be opening the breakouts shortly, and they're self-navigating. So you'll see a button at the bottom of your screen to join the breakouts. And people can stay in the center area and keep asking questions if possible. And we'll stop the live stream shortly, so we don't have too long of a program there. So now I'm going to call up Susan Clark.
Beth and hello, Susan.
Hi, thank you. And thank you, Otto team presencing. This is amazing. This work is wonderful. And so I have a project that already matches a lot of the criteria, but I want to ask my question, which is I'm facilitating libraries helping their communities recover from natural disasters in Northern California, where we have wildfires. And we were in the middle of already doing this project and the pandemic hit. And we've got 10 teams and same model. It's like they're each a team, and then the network of the teams, but then sort of the ecosystem of all of Northern California, Golden Gate Bridge to the border. And we're getting them, but I want to bring all of this wisdom in to get the work not just down to how we can recover together, but really let the libraries not be at the center, but facilitate community resilience hubs. And there's tons of people doing community resilience hubs, but I want to bring everything you got to the juice of listening to what's emerging, because we're all broken open this year with, everybody's models and whatnot. So it seems like a super propitious time. And I have team members, and somebody already said it's okay if they haven't been through this. They're very resonant on facilitative listening and what's emerging. My question, and it was sort of asked, but if I already have this model where part of what makes it work is these different hosting libraries, ping off of each other's learning, and it's already network wide, should I, in the 2X, where we're really trying to go deeper into whole person and whole system, continue to tie and take it forward with maybe the 3 communities that are ready to go to that level? Or do we really do it with 1, so that they can demonstrate it's safe to do it and then roll it out? So that's sort of my curiosity. I have partners. I could do it in Sonoma and Napa, but we have multiple communities who are ripe. I would say about 3, but I don't know if I should scope it at the 3 or do it at the 1.
I would be curious how involved you feel you personally need to be in holding those teams, because do you feel that you need to spend a lot of time and energy kind of holding them and gathering them and making sure that they can do that? And then do you feel you have the time and energy to be able to hold all 3 of them? Would be my curiosity for you.
A wise question. I can see the potential, and yet what is the bandwidth? And they're on the cusp, but I appreciate the reflection back about the amount of energy to hold the space and the faith that they can do it. And that's thank you. That was a very helpful question.
And also remember that the whole spirit of prototyping is go small before you go big, right? So that's the whole point about prototyping. And it's so that the trick about prototyping is making it small in the first few cycles, so that you can make all the mistakes really on a smaller scale before you go to a bigger scale and learn from them. So that would be just a reinforcing footnote on Antoinette's question.
Thank you both.
And thank you everybody for all of your outstanding questions. We will be moving into breakouts in the Zoom room, and I'll say more about the breakouts, or Stefan will say more, but I wanna thank the audience that has been watching on the broadcast for joining us today. And I hope that some of these questions have helped to answer some of your own, and that you feel now ready, motivated, and able to take the jump on your application for u.lab 2X. And that you'll be joining us there as a community of doers. And